Good day, everyone. I am Tochi Summer A. Lapinik, and I will discuss the teaching LLS, the general procedures for teaching and integrating learning strategies in the classroom. But before I will discuss the teaching LLS, I will read first the learning objectives. Okay? At the end of the lesson, the learners should be able to A. Explain the general procedures of teaching language learning strategies or LLS in supporting effective language learning. B. Apply appropriate learning strategies in classroom activities, allowing students to plan, monitor, and evaluate their own language learning effectively. And C. Share the importance of learning strategies by relating them to personal learning experiences. Teaching and integrating language learning strategies, or LLS, helps students become more effective and independent learners by giving them tools to plan, monitor, and evaluate their progress. LLS are simple techniques that make learning a language easier and more effective, such as guessing word meanings, taking notes, or setting goals. When teachers include these strategies in lessons, students learn how to manage their own learning, gain confidence, and improve their language skills faster. When teachers guide students to apply strategies in real classroom tasks, learning becomes more meaningful and practical. Yes, when teachers help students use learning strategies in real classroom activities, students understand lessons better. The learning becomes useful and connected to real situations, not just memorize. This makes students more active, confident, and able to apply what they learn in everyday life. This topic is about teaching language learning strategies, or LLS, to help students become independent and effective learners. It highlights the importance of teaching strategies directly, modeling and practicing them in real language tasks, and encouraging students to apply them inside and outside the classroom. Now we have the general procedures for teaching learning strategies. Researchers in LLS propose the following classroom strategy training that the teacher can apply within the context of language task. First is explain to students that you will be showing them specific techniques that they can use on their own to improve their English. You have to tell students that you will teach them special techniques that can help them learn English better, just like successful learners do. Explain that these strategies are used by successful learners and can help them too. This helps students become independent learners and motivates them to take responsibility for their learning. Okay, number 2, tell students why they are learning about the strategy. In here, students need to understand why they are learning the strategy and how it can help them. This helps them become responsible for their own learning, not just rely on the teacher. When students know the reason behind an activity, they become more motivated and understand. Number 3, describe, model, and give examples of potentially useful strategies. In here, teachers show how to use the strategy step by step and give clear examples. Modeling helps students see what to do. The teacher clearly explains and shows how a strategy works before asking students to try it. Why? Because students need to see how a strategy is done to understand and remember it better. Number 4, teach the strategy in conjunction with a typical class activity such as listening comprehension, pronunciation drills, grammar practice, or reading and writing lessons. In here, use the strategy while teaching regular lessons like reading, listening, grammar, or writing so students see it in action. Why? This helps students see how the strategy is useful in real learning situations. Number 5, elicit additional examples from students based on the students' own learning experiences. Here, ask students to share how they already use similar techniques or how they might use the new one. This builds connection and confidence. This encourages students to connect new strategies with their personal experiences and make learning more meaningful. Number 6, delineate appropriate circumstances under which the strategy may be employed. Explain when the strategy is useful and when it might not be effective. This helps students use it correctly. Students need to know when to apply a strategy effectively instead of using it all the time. 7, lead a small group and whole class discussion about strategies. Sharing helps them learn from each other's experiences and also discover new ways to learn. Example, groups discuss what the strategies help them remember. That's the number 7. Lead a small group and whole class discussion about strategies. Next is number 8. After the strategy has been practiced in class, ask students to practice it on their own outside of class. In here, you have to encourage students to keep using the strategy in real life situations to make it a habit. Why? This builds self-discipline and helps students apply what they learned in real context. And number 9, encourage students to experiment with a broad range of strategies. In here, you have to motivate students to try different learning strategies to find out which ones work best for them. Different students learn in different ways, so exploring multiple strategies helps them find what works best. Number 10, integrate strategies into everyday class material explicitly and implicitly, embedding them into the language task to provide for contextualized strategy practice. In here, include strategies in daily lessons naturally, so students use them often and automatically. Why? This helps students continuously practice strategies and make them a habit. And number 11, have students report on their use of the strategy outside of class. In here, you have to ask students to share how they use the strategy outside the classroom and what results they got. Why? Because it allows teachers to monitor progress and help students reflect on what works for them. And number 12, remind students about using a learning strategy when you introduce new material and make assignments. You have to encourage students to keep applying the strategies they've learned whenever they face new lessons or assignments. Why? Because it reinforces habits and keeps students aware of how to learn effectively. And last, number 13, check with students after exercise or assignment to find out if they remembered to use a learning strategy. Okay, after an activity, the teacher asks if students remembered to use the strategy and discusses how well it worked. Why? Because this helps students evaluate their learning process and improve their strategy used. Example, you have to ask, did summarizing help you understand the reading better? If not, how can you change your method next time? You have to check after exercise or assignment to find out if they remembered to use a learning strategy. Now let's proceed to the teaching language learning strategies. Learning strategies, considered inherent to the act of learning, are what students do when trying to learn and address their learning problems. Learning strategies are the techniques or actions that students use to help themselves learn better and solve learning problems. This can include things like taking notes, asking questions, practicing regularly, or using memory tricks. They are a natural part of learning because every student uses some method, consciously or not, to understand new information. Research shows that when teachers help students use learning strategies effectively, students become more skilled and motivated in learning a language. This means they learn faster, remember more, and feel more confident. Because of this, teachers today are finding the best ways to include learning strategy training in their lessons so that students can become more independent and successful learners. Several kinds of strategies have been identified: cognitive, metacognitive, and socio-affective. There are three main kinds of learning strategies: the cognitive, metacognitive, and socio-affective. Cognitive strategies are what students use to understand and remember information, like repeating words, summarizing, or practicing, while the metacognition strategies involve thinking about how you learn, planning, monitoring your progress, and checking if you understand. And the socio-affective strategies are about learning through social interaction, like asking for help, working with classmates, or staying motivated. Research shows that successful language learners use metacognitive strategies the most. They think about their learning, plan what to do, and make smart choices to reach their goals. Based on Butler's 1997 discussion of learner self-regulation as the ability to deploy procedures and to access knowledge and beliefs in order to accomplish learning goals in dynamically changing environment. Learner self-regulation, according to Butler, 1997, means that students are able to take control of their own learning. It is the ability to use different strategies or procedures and apply what they know and believe to reach their learning goals, even when things change. In simple terms, it means being an independent learner. 2. Someone who plans what to do, uses what they've learned, believes they can succeed, and adjust their actions when faced with challenges or new situations. Rubin 2005 defines procedures as the actions learners take to manage their learning by planning. According to Rubin 2005, procedures are the actions students use to control and manage their learning. Planning, setting goals and making a plan to reach them. The monitoring, checking progress while learning. Evaluating, judging how well they did. And problem solving, finding and applying solutions when they face difficulties. In simple terms, procedures are the steps learners take to stay organized, focused, and effective in their learning. Task analysis consists of task purpose, why you want to reach your goal. Task classification, what you know about the task, and task demands, how to proceed based on your task classification. Task analysis means breaking a task into parts to understand it better. It includes the task purpose, why you want to do it. Task classification, what you already know about it. Task demands, how you should do it based on what you know. According to Rubin, students should choose the right cognitive and socio-affective strategies depending on their task classification or how well they understand the task. This helps them learn more effectively. Rubin 2005 further defined knowledge and belief as task knowledge, person knowledge, strategy knowledge, background knowledge, and belief. Okay, according to Rubin 2005, learners need different types of knowledge and belief to manage their learning. The task knowledge, knowing what the task is about. Person knowledge, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. Strategy knowledge, knowing what strategies to use. Background knowledge, what you already know. Belief, what you think about learning and yourself as a learner. She explained that learning is most effective when procedures, the actions or strategies used, work together with knowledge, the information learners have. Both are needed for successful learning. Learning involves getting, storing, retrieving, and using information. Learning means getting, keeping, recalling, and using information. Many cognitive strategies like being aware, paying attention, making guesses, testing ideas, and practicing help learners do this effectively. Memory is very important because it allows learners to store and retrieve what they learn. Using memory strategies can make this easier. And also, motivation is a key part of learning. When students are motivated, they try harder, practice more, and learn better. Pintrich 1999 defined three aspects of motivation: the self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to accomplish task value, the belief that the task is worth doing, and goal orientation toward learning. According to Pentrich 1999, motivation has three main parts. First is the self-efficacy, believing you can do a task. Next is the task value, believing the task is important or worth doing. Next is the goal orientation, focusing on learning and improving. That's a goal orientation. Okay, when learners can manage their own learning well, their self-confidence or self-efficacy increases because they see that their efforts lead to success. Now, let's proceed to the characteristics of learning strategy instruction. First, we have the contextualization. Teach strategies during actual learning, not separately. Meaning, teach strategies while students are doing real learning tasks, not as a separate lesson. Example, instead of just explaining how to summarize, the teacher lets students practice summarizing while reading a story in class. Next is the scaffolding. Teachers give help at first, then let students do it independently. Okay, here, the teacher gives support at first, then slowly reduces help as students become more independent. Example, a teacher first models how to write a paragraph, then later let students try writing on their own with less guidance. Next is the explicitness. Explain what the strategy is, why it helps, and when to use it. Here, clearly explain what the strategy is, why it is useful, and when to use it. Example, the teacher tells students you can use highlighting to mark key ideas in a text. This helps you remember important points when reviewing later. Next is choice. Let students choose materials, goals, or ways to do tasks to stay motivated. Meaning, allow students to make decisions about their learning, like choosing materials, goals, or methods to keep them interested and motivated. Example, students can choose whether to read a short story or watch a short video on the same topic before discussing it. That's an example. Next is control.
Students set goals, check progress, and decide if they succeeded.
Here, students take responsibility for their learning by setting goals, tracking progress, and judging their results. Example, students set a goal to learn 10 new English words a day, checks progress every week, and evaluates how well they remembered them. That's an example. Next is relevance. Strategies should help students solve real learning problems, meaning strategies should be useful for solving real learning problems or helping students in daily life. Example: teaching note-taking skills helps students organize ideas better for exams or projects. In short, learning strategy instruction helps students become more active, independent, and thoughtful learners by connecting strategies to real tasks, guiding them with clear steps, and allowing them to take control of their learning. Now let's proceed to the goals for strategy training. Self-diagnose their strengths and weaknesses in language learning. In here, learners reflect on what they are good at and what areas they need to improve. This helps them understand themselves better and focus on specific skills and need more attention. Become aware of what helps them to learn the target language most efficiently. Learners recognized which methods, techniques, or activities make learning easier and faster for them. This awareness helps them use their time and effort more effectively. Next is develop a broad range of problem-solving skills. Learners build the ability to handle challenges in learning. They learn how to find solutions when they face difficulties, making them more adaptable and resourceful. Next is experiment with familiar and unfamiliar learning strategies. In here, learners try out different ways of learning, both those they already know and new ones. This helps them discover which strategies work best for their individual learning style. Yes. Next is make decisions about how to approach a language task. In here, learners learn to plan and choose the best way to complete a learning activity. This builds independence and helps them take control of their learning process. Next one, monitor and self-evaluate their performance. Here, learners regularly check their progress and assess how well they are doing. This reflection helps them identify success and areas for improvement. Next is transfer successful strategies to new learning contexts. Learners apply strategies that work well in one situation to other learning tasks or subjects. This helps them continue learning effectively in different contexts. Now, let's proceed to the steps for designing strategy training. First, determine learners' needs and the resources available for training. Here, find out what students need to improve in their language learning, and what tools, time, and materials are available. Example, the teacher surveys students to see if they struggle more with speaking or writing. Then, checks what resources or the books, videos, or online tools can be used to help. Okay, next, select the strategies to be taught. In here, you have to choose the specific learning strategies that match students' needs. Example, if students have trouble remembering vocabulary, the teacher decides to teach memory strategies like grouping words or using flashcards. Okay, next is consider the benefits of integrated strategy training. Here, you as a teacher, you have to teachers combine strategic training with regular lessons instead of teaching it separately, so students can apply strategies immediately. Example, while teaching reading comprehension, the teacher also teaches summarizing and predicting strategies during the activity. Next is consider motivational issues. Here, make sure students stay motivated by showing them how strategies can help them learn better and achieve their goals. Example, the teacher explains that using speaking practice strategies can help them become more confident in real conversations. Next, prepare the materials and activities. Here, you as a teacher, you have to create lessons, exercises, and examples that allow students to practice the strategies effectively. Example, the teacher prepares worksheets and group tasks where students can apply note-taking and guessing strategies. Okay, next is conduct explicit strategies training. In here, clearly explain what the strategy is, why it helps, and when to use it. Give students a chance to practice and reflect. Example, the teacher demonstrates how to use context clues to guess word meanings, then let students practice with a reading passage. That's an example. Next is evaluate and revise the strategy training. Okay, after teaching, check if the strategies help students learn better and make changes if needed. Okay, example, the teacher asks students for feedback and notices they still struggle with applying strategies, so she adjusts the next lesson for more practice. Designing strategy training involves understanding learners' needs, choosing and teaching useful strategies, motivating students, and continuously improving the lessons to make learning more effective and engaging. Now let's proceed to the strategies for teaching English language learners. Number 1, cultivate relationships. Building strong relationships with students helps teachers understand their backgrounds, interests, and learning styles. When students feel cared for and respected, they become more confident and motivated to learn. That's why we have this number 1, cultivate relationships. Number 2, be culturally aware. Teachers should recognize and respect students' cultural and religious backgrounds. Understanding cultural differences, like how students show respect or communicate, helps create a welcoming and inclusive classroom where everyone feels valued. Number 3, teach language skills across all curriculum topics. In here, language learning should not be limited to English class. Every subject like science, math, or history can be an opportunity to teach and practice English. This helps learners build vocabulary and confidence in using English in different contexts. Next is number 4, is speak slowly and be patient. Yes, teachers should slow down their speech, use clear language, and give students enough time to understand and respond. Patience allows students to process information and lowers their anxiety about learning a new language. That's number 4, speak slowly and be patient. Number 5, prioritize productive language. In here, encourage students to practice speaking and writing, not just listening and reading. Producing language helps them actively use what they've learned and develop fluency and confidence. Number 6, use a variety of methods to engage learning. Different students learn in different ways, using a mix of activities like group work, games, visuals, and discussions helps all learners participate and learn according to their strength. This is called differentiated instruction. Next, number 7, utilize visual aids. Here, pictures, charts, diagrams, and other visuals make lessons easier to understand. Visual aids support comprehension, especially for students who may struggle to follow spoken instructions. That's why you as a teacher, you have to utilize visual aids. Next, number 8, respect moments of silence. Here, it's normal for new language learners to be quiet at first. Teachers should give them time to listen and observe without pressure to speak immediately. Gradually, they will gain confidence and start using the language. Next, number 9, increase comprehensible input and language output. Here, students learn through input, what they hear and read, and output, what they say and write. Teachers should provide clear, understandable input and give students many chances to speak and write in English with feedback to help them improve. Next, number 10, promote classroom interaction. Here, learning improves when students communicate with each other. Teachers should create structured activities like think, pair, share, or group discussions where students can practice using English in real communication. Yes. Next is stimulate higher order thinking skills and use of learning strategies. Here, you have to encourage students to go beyond memorizing words or grammar. Help them think critically, analyze, compare, and solve problems using English. This builds deeper understanding and promotes independent learning. In summary, effective teaching for English language learners involves understanding their backgrounds, using varied and supportive teaching methods, and encouraging active use of language. When teachers create a respectful, engaging, and language-rich environment, students become more confident and motivated to learn English. Now we have the practical application or classroom integration activity. First, vocabulary building through word maps. Here, a teacher introduces 5 to 10 new words. Students create a mind map with the target word in the center, connecting synonyms and antonyms. Students practice organizing information for deeper memory storage. The purpose of this activity, it helps students visually organize information, which supports long-term memory and vocabulary retention. It also encourages learners to see relationships between words, improving comprehension and word usage. Okay, next activity is goal setting and self-monitoring journal. At the start of the week, students set language learning goals. Example, I will learn 10 new words. During activities, students check their progress by asking themselves, am I achieving my goal? Promotes planning, monitoring, and evaluating learning progress. The purpose of this activity, this promotes metacognitive strategies, planning, monitoring, and evaluating one's own learning. It encourages learners to take responsibility and ownership of their progress, fostering self-regulated learning. Next activity is think, pair, share. Students pair up and interview each other using a set of guided questions. Example, hobbies, weekend activities, favorite food. After the interview, each student introduces their partner to the class, fosters confidence, communication, and active listening. The purpose of this activity, this cooperative activity develops speaking, listening, and interpersonal communication skills. It also builds confidence in using English in real-life situations and strengthens classroom interaction among learners. In conclusion, teaching language learning strategies help students become more independent and confident in learning. Teaching language learning strategies helps students take charge of their own learning. It allows them to understand how they learn best, which builds independence and confidence. When teachers demonstrate, let students practice and use strategies during class. Learners become more aware and active in the learning process. By showing, practicing, and using strategies in class, teachers guide students to think about how they learn, solve problems, and improve their skills. Through this approach, students learn to analyze their progress, solve learning difficulties, and apply effective methods to improve their skills. In short, strategy training not only helps them learn a language, it also teaches them how to learn better in general. We're done. Thank you for listening. And now we have a assessment.